Hello everybody, my name is Connor Densmore. I am a second semester senior here at KSU, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys through how to set up your very own WordPress website. WordPress is a very easy to use, free open source website software. Thousands of companies, if not millions of companies and people use it every single day to drive their websites. For today's intended use, we're going to be setting up a personal blog. So if you're cooking and you want to share your recipes and how the cooking went, or if you're in a book club or reading books and you want to share your thoughts on the book, whatever it may be, a personal blog is a perfect way to wrap up your thoughts in a professional manner and put it out on the web. So what we're going to do is we're going to be talking through and me showing you how to go about obtaining your own domain, obtaining hosting for that domain so you have somewhere to store your files, and then also the simple setups of WordPress and getting your website up and going. So, what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be walking you guys through how to obtain your very own domain, how to get hosting for your domain so you have somewhere to store all those files, and then the simple setups and the essentials to running your very own WordPress website. Like I mentioned, WordPress is one of the most user-friendly website building experiences I've personally ever experienced, and it's super easy to get going on your own. So let's start. So starting off, one of the first things we want to do when trying to set up our website is think about the domain we want to be using. So depending on what your blog, your website, whatever it's going to be is about, you kind of want to think on that behalf. So today, since I'm making a blog all about me and what I'm going to be sharing about my life, we're simply just going to find a name that is my name. So maybe connordensmore.com, or for school purposes, I can use my KSU ID and we can use that as my domain. So to find a domain, super simple. Simply, we can just go to Google and we can look up domain registration. And then from here, we can just search, and there's going to be tons of them. Even Google themselves have their very own domain. So let's just click on Google. From here, it's going to load. And then here, we can find a domain. So let's just go ahead and let's look. Let's do just Connor Densmore and see what comes up. So we're going to search. It's going to load. And so right here, it's going to tell me a bunch of domains that I can do. So the most common one that we're familiar with on a day-to-day basis is something.com. .com is the most widely used domain ending compared to any other ones. Also familiar ones are .net, .org, .edu, but you can have whatever domain ending you wish to have. So as you can see right here, we can do connordensmore.page, connordensmore.online, connordensmore.tech. Whatever you want, you can have your own domain. So this is a great place to start when you're looking just for domain name ideas. But as we progress, we are going to need a server to store all the files that we access through our domain. So I kind of like to take a step ahead one to combat our domain issue. So like I mentioned, kind of taking a step ahead here, for our website, we need a server that is running some type of website software, for example, Apache, which is most commonly used, that we can store our server files on, that we can access via our domain. So this will make a lot more sense when we have it all set up. But for now, what you need to know is that you need a server. So personally, what I use is called dreamhost.com, which is right here, dreamhost.com. These are their billing options, and it's very easy to get started. Like you can see right here, you can get a shared server, a great place to start. What this is going to do is exactly what it says. For $5 a month, you can get one website, And then we get unlimited traffic and unlimited bandwidth, which is important because if you ever somehow get super popular and blow up, you want your website to be able to handle the amount of people coming on at once, if that ever happens. So it's kind of just future proof, and it's there, and this is the most basic plan. So you can do this for $4.95 a month, and this gets you one website, and this will allow you to be on the internet within hours by them just virtually hosting your server. And looking down, they also have other plans. So this is specifically designed for WordPress, so you can manage easier of your website. And one thing I didn't point out up here is this has 30 gigabytes of storage, and this one is a shared server. It just says fast. So it's important when picking these that you have enough storage on your virtual server that can handle the files. So if you're doing a blog where you're going to upload a lot of videos, it may be worth it to get a server with more storage, or find alternatives like uploading to YouTube and then using an embed code so that it's hosted on YouTube but shown on your website, which we can get into later. But if you're simply just doing a website and you need one website, this right here is the best place to go. That being said, I am a little biased because there are many other options out there. For example, a very popular one is HostGator. As you can see right here, basically the same thing, single website, one-click WordPress installs, which is very important. That's also free right here. As you can see, automated WordPress migrations and installer. Very important because WordPress does have to be installed, and it's easier when it's just one click of a button instead of having to set it up yourself through a database, which we'll also get into later. So to make the long story short, you have to just look around and find whatever works best with you. Like I said, I personally use DreamHost, but HostGator, Bluehost, GoDaddy, all of these are going to be website servers that you can pay for. It's a shared server where you can upload your server files to be accessed through the internet. So once you've decided on which type of plan you want to go with, you should get something somewhat similar to what you're seeing now, but not exactly the same depending on where you go. So for DreamHost, this is what my panel looks like, and if I go home, I can see, notifications of just things that are going on. And then I can see all of my domains over here that I currently have registered to me right here. And then if I come down here to registrations, I can click there. And then this is essentially going to be exactly what that Google registrations was. It's going to tell me which websites are available and which ones are not. So no matter what service you go with as far as your server, it should have somewhere on there where you can buy new domain names. So for example, this is what mine looks like. And from here, I can search up any type of domain I want. So I'm just going to search up Connor Dinsmore. And so when I do that, I'm going to get the same exact result. So prices may vary depending on who you get your domain through, but they're all going to be the same. So you can look through here and you can decide which one is best suited for you. So in this instance, if I were to look up ConnorDinsmore.com, it's probably going to be taken. Oh no, look, it is available. So I can buy ConnorDinsmore.com for $7 right now. And that way when I go to the internet, I can do ConnorDinsmore.com and it's going to come up with my website. For this example though, I'm probably just going to go with one of these that is like $1 or something. And these prices, like I said, they do vary, but you can do any type of domain you want. Anything you can think of, type it in there, search it, see how much it is, and it's super easy to check out and get your domain. So once you have gotten to this point, go ahead and find what you're looking for and get your domain. Alright, so I've gone ahead and I've purchased my domain, and now, depending on which provider you have for your server and for your domain, you may have to take a few extra steps, which I'm about to do, or it may just be set up and you can go directly to your domain and see a default page. But if it's anything like what I'm used to, you're going to have to do a couple extra steps. So it may not be exact, but you should be able to get the gist of the idea of what goes on here. So right here, I can see my domain, and it says parked. If I look at all these, it says some type of shared hosting, DNS only, which is something else. But nonetheless, I can see this domain right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and press edit. So this is going to take me to where I can set up hosting. So the hosting is kind of like what we talked about, where it's going to put the files for this specific domain on a server and create basically what is a directory where when I type in connordinsmore.site, it's going to pull up those server files. But we have to make basically a directory for those server files first. So that's what we're doing right here. So the domain to host is connordinsmore.site. And this is personal preference. I pretty much always add www, but you can leave it alone or remove it. It's personal choice. Right here, we have create a new user. So each website has its very own user, and this is talking about the database. So when each website has hosting, it creates its very own MySQL database, which is where all the data is stored. So this can be anything you want it to be. I'm just going to name it Connor Dinsmore and leave the default values there. Which is the name of my shared server that I have. So anytime I add a new website, it's adding to my server. And so if you get a server that only allows one website, then this may be a lot simpler, but nonetheless, it's adding onto my server. And right here we can see web directory, so we know exactly where to log in from. In logs directory, this is where the logs will go. PHP mode doesn't necessarily matter. There is always going to be a recommended one, but they're always upgrading PHP. And I'm not going to get super in depth with it, and some people will argue that PHP is dead, but is very much used within WordPress domains as far as I can tell. And that's kind of a whole different topic, but if you just use the recommended PHP, or you may have a default value, you should be just fine. And you may have some extra settings here. You can check them, uncheck them. You can check out where it says what's this, or maybe a little question mark. Do a little bit of reading, see what it is. But in simple terms, this is all we need right here. We have our user being created, the web directory, and then we can fully host this domain. So once I do that, it's going to take a second, and then it's going to tell me that I've now added it to my hosting, and it will take a little bit of time for all the files to be created on the server. So one more thing I'm going to have to do before we really dive into setting up WordPress on the website is I need to actually install WordPress. So this is going to vary depending on, again, who you got your domain through, who your server is. But for mine, it's super simple. Right here under my domains, there's a tab called one-click installs. I click right here, and it's going to load a page, and it's going to give me a little spiel about WordPress. Free web-based software, create websites. Exactly what I explained earlier. Super easy, open source. Tons of people make what are called plugins for WordPress every single day that allow you to be more flexible and design amazing things all within an online space. So I'm going to press learn more and install. It's going to give me a little bit of spiel, and it's going to ask me where do I want to install it. So I'm going to come down here, I'm going to select the domain that I just purchased, and then right here we want to automatically create a database. So this is what I was talking about with MySQL. It's going to automatically make one, or if I had one before, I can just add it on or import it. Right here, you can also do a subdomain. Subdomains are essentially, you have your website, which is connordinsmore.site. Then I can make a subdomain, so connordinsmore.site/KSU, and then I can have essentially a whole nother website under that subdomain. Subdomains are great if you have a purpose, kind of like a multi-network website, but they're kind of few in between. Anyways, you can go ahead, once you have it installed to, press install it for me now. Super easy. And like I said, this is going to vary depending on who your server hoster is, but should be relatively similar. And success, be installed. And so with both adding hosting and installing WordPress, you'll get emails kind of explaining both of what to do and how to log in for the first time. Alright, so after a few minutes of waiting, I come to my email and I see this email right here. It says success installing WordPress on your site. So then I can kind of read through this, and it's all useful information, but the only thing I really need right here is this first login. In order to log in for the first time, you will need this link to set your password. So, like I said earlier on, this is going to vary kind of depending on your provider. But specifically for me using DreamHost, it's super easy. I click that one click install, I get this email, and then I'm essentially ready to go. So I'm going to click right here, and it's going to take me to my website. So I'm just going to copy this password and press reset. And then now I'm going to be able to log in. So as you can see right here, we're at connordensmore.site, which is the domain I purchased. And so we're going to go to login. And right here, I'm going to insert my email, which is in this email in case you need to see it. So you can log in with your email. And then paste that password, press login. So now, what we are in right now is the back end of our website. So this is where we're going to control everything that is displayed on the website itself. And there's a few little tricks kind of about the back end here that we'll get into a little bit later, but essentially your website is ready to go. So one thing we're just going to look at super quickly is if I come up here and hover, it says just another WordPress site. We can change this later, but for now I'm going to go to visit site. When I click that, it's going to open, and this is what your default 2021 WordPress install is going to look like. This is a default WordPress theme, super simple, very basic. We will not keep this. But if you have this right here, you're on the right tracks. So I'm going to come back to my dashboard here, and I'm going to see what I can do here. So like it says, getting started, you can follow this through and it's going to help you a lot. So if we press customize my site, it's going to open an editor. And this can be useful if you want to start from scratch without any help, but typically when it comes to doing websites through WordPress, a lot of people use things that are called themes. So if I come down here to appearance, you're going to see themes right here. So I'm just going to click in here. And you can see I have 3 already installed. So 2020, 2019, and 2021. And these are just default themes that are provided through WordPress. So if I click over here on add more, these are going to be all the themes that are publicly available via the open source feature of WordPress that have been made by other users or WordPress themselves. So you can look through here and kind of see exactly what you want to find. There's tons of different themes that you can choose from, and they all work great. So when you first get set up, you can just kind of look through and see what you want to do. That being said though, WordPress is used so much, there are themes that you can't even think of that exist today. So it's all personal preference. Myself personally, I have a set theme that I use for every single website I make, and it doesn't necessarily change a lot. But if you just go to Google and type in, let's see, WordPress themes, you're going to get tons of websites that are offering free themes, builders, which we'll get all into that in just a second. For now, I'm just going to come back here, and I'm going to do right here where it says upload theme. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Google, and I'm going to use a theme called Elementor. So I'm going to type in Elementor download. So first thing you see, elementor.org WordPress. And so what this is a website builder. And this will make a little bit more sense as we build out our page in just a second. But with using HTML, you can hard code websites. But using WordPress, it kind of takes out that hard coding feature, and you can use visual elements to design a website, and it'll write the code for you. So in my experience, I think Elementor is one of the best. I've also used plugins like WP Bakery Page Builder, which is a very common one. Or if I just come in here to WordPress, I can add a new page, It'll load up and it'll say, "Welcome to the block editor." So this is WordPress's default editor, and this one is fairly good. I have nothing against this one. We can type in our title, so we'll just call this home, and then right here I can click this little plus, and it's going to give me options that I can add. So if I want, I can add a picture, and then all sorts of things I can do right here. So I'm just going to close that because I don't necessarily want to do that right now. And then I'm going to come back here to Elementor. I'm going to download this. And it's going to zip right there. And so all I need is right here. That Elementor is it. So I'm going to come back to here. And there are themes and then there are plugins. So Elementor is a plugin, but it has themes attached to it, which we'll get into in just a second. So I'm going to come to plugins and then add new. And then up here, upload plugin. And I can simply just grab this right here and drag it onto the choose file and install now. And we're already on our way to making a brand new website. So I'm going to go ahead and activate plugin. And then you're going to get a welcome page. So you can watch this video if you want. And it's pretty useful. You can watch the full guide or you can get right into creating your first page. So I'm just going to go ahead and do create your first page. So it's going to load the editor. And right here, we can see just the basic default theme. And then I can set my title page. So we'll make this home, or actually, sorry. I think I have to change that within the settings here. Yeah, so I can change it here. Home. Oh, home. And the reason I like this one more than the default editor is we have all these options over here on things that we can add. The options are honestly endless when it comes to WordPress and Elementor specifically. We can add SoundCloud, social icons, we can do a countdown, block quotes. Lottie is something really cool, which is basically just animated GIFs built for Elementor. Lots of things that we can do. So now kind of hopping back into the back end, there's a lot that is to be learned with using WordPress. And the great thing about this, and like I've mentioned many times now, this is used so often worldwide. There's so many tutorials that you can sit and watch, but the best practice is just sit down and start messing with everything. So just kind of some general things that I start with is I head here to settings and go to general. And then I can start to change all of these things right here. So my site title, I can just change it to Connor Densmore. And we'll just do Connor Densmore's blog. And then the tagline, keep up with me. So once we do that, we're going to keep these the same. We don't want to change our address or our site URL. We want to keep these the same. Administration email, you can change if you want, but this is the login email I use. And all this doesn't really matter. We can change time zone, so we're UTC -5, and then we'll save changes. So what you'll notice is up here now, it says Connor Densmore's blog. And right here, it also says it. And so if I go to visit site, Connor Densmore blog, keeping up with me. And so this is basically how in HTML we can set a site title, same exact thing, it's just in this menu right here. There's a bunch of different settings that we can mess around with. Then we have something under here called tools. So these are going to be basically things we can import or use plugins to import tools to use across the website. So one that I use very commonly with new websites that I'm making is called Better Search Replace. So this one right here, just as an example, we're going to install now. It's going to install. We're going to activate, and then this page is going to reload. And then this is our plugin list right here. So it's nothing there right now. These two come default with WordPress, and they're not super useful, but you can use them if you wish. And as you build out your website, you'll add more plugins and you'll have more active here. But moving on, underneath tools, if I come down here, I'm going to see Better Search Replace now. So very simple tool, search for, replace with, and then I'm going to replace, or I'm going to select these tables that I want to replace. So So these tables are in my database, which is through MySQL. And then we just run and search. So super simple, basic kind of introduction to how plugins work. So now that you have your website set up, the options are kind of limitless. You can edit it to however you wish. And to just kind of give you a quick insight to what is possible, I'm going to take you guys to my personal website that I use. And this was made entirely from WordPress, from scratch, just how we set up. Everything that you can think of is possible. So this is what I call a one-page website. So super simple, one page, scroll up and down, and these links over here are going to take me to certain links on the pages, or anchor links, as you can see right here, using that. But from here, just so I can show you, I can go to /wp admin, click enter, and it's going to take me to the same exact login page that we had over here, which will eventually take me to this back end. So I'm going to log in, and I've customized this just for a personal preference. Log in, fills in my password for me because I use autofiller. And then we're in the back end. So it may look slightly different compared to this one, but it's because we have a lot more plugins installed. So if I come down here to plugins, we're going to see a whole list of things that I'm using on this website. So right here. And these are all personal preference. Your website absolutely does not need all of this, but they are super useful, and they are thousands of plugins that are made by the community every single day. They're updated whenever there's a new release, and there's limitless plugins. So to kind of wrap everything up here, what we've done is we have gone through, we have gotten a server to host our files, we've bought a domain that we're going to use for our registration, and then we've also set up WordPress on our domain. What this all does is allows us to be online within, let's say, almost an hour from start to finish. We are online with the website. Then past this setup, the options are limitless. So you can install themes, install plugins, use whatever builder you want, use whatever theme you want, and edit your website to however you want. It's one of the best and easiest uses when it comes to website builders online, in an online workspace purely. So I hope you guys have learned something today. I hope this helps you with whatever endeavor you choose to use WordPress for. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below, and I will get back to you guys. Thank you very much.